I like to share the process I went through in creating this family portrait. I looked through photos of the family and I realized there was not one photo where everyone looked at their best. So what I did is I grabbed different photos, I picked out which ones had them looking best, and then I combined it in Photoshop, but really roughly, as you can see in the background. I wanted to make sure that the height and the placement was just right so it looked convincing. And then I proceeded to outline the figures on a grid so I can quickly render the subjects and grab the details, so I didn't have to look at the whole picture, but just each square at a time. I started with the mom, dark colors first, and then adding on the light. And I quickly realized the colors I was using in this pastel set weren't working for skin tones. So then I worked on the baby some more and tried a different technique, and also opened another box of pastels and was able to render the skin tones wonderfully with them. After that, I decided, I want the background to be a complementary color to them so that the figures pop out more. So I added blue. And then I started to work on the father and then more of the background. And I wanted to use really loose strokes in the background to convey like liveliness and energy and also joy. I felt a lot of joy in this family, so I wanted to show that in the background. Then I proceeded to work on the dad and I added shading. I went from light to dark and also cool to warm colors and going back and forth. And I also went back to the baby too to make adjustments as I saw different things like the shading and the shape of the eyes weren't quite right, and I fixed it. And then I worked on the father's facial hair and I realized, it's too rough. Then I used a tortillon, which is like a paper stub, to lift off some of the pastels so his facial hair looked more realistic as well. Then I proceeded to work on the background and then went back to the mother in the portrait and added details to her face using the lessons I learned while painting in the other two figures. She actually turned out looking the best out of all of them. And then after that, I worked on her shirt because I noticed my eye was being drawn away from the painting with it. So then I added blues to it to mute it out and draw the eye back into the portrait. Then I worked on the highlights of the hair and then revisit the hand of the baby as well as the father, and taking care not to make his hand too bright as well so the eye stays within the frame. So I added some complementary colors to the hand to darken it and dullen it so your eye doesn't move out of the frame. And I also added more texture to the baby's sweater and to the baby's clothes. I dusted off some of the loose pastel, and then voila, the finished painting.